Welcome back, guys. This is the Postgame Maine Breakdown. And you know what? We got a win. We got a win. And it's been a long time. It's been, 4 weeks? Yeah, 4 weeks since we
Over a month.
Yeah, over a month. So
it was September 28th, and it is now November 2nd.
Yeah. So anyways, we're pretty happy. Obviously, there's things that could have been worked on better. But overall, it's just nice to see a win. It's nice to win one. But my name is Colby Routh.
Are you going to tell the people your name, Spencer?
I'm waiting on you.
I'm Kylan Lacaze.
I'm Spencer May.
So yeah, let's get into it. Post-game Maine Breakdown. First thoughts. Offense looked pretty good. Particularly Javonte Barnes. Had himself a great day. 3 tutties. I think he had over
203 yards.
Yeah, he had over 200 yards, so he looked great.
Yep.
Jackson didn't look that bad. Had trouble completing the deep ball, but then also threw a 90-yard touchdown on the run, 45 yards, and it was a dot.
The longest passing touchdown in Owen Field history.
That was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Good for him. But overall, team didn't look that bad. The first drive,
yeah, I think we were cooked.
That was so funny. I was like, I want Maine to score more points. This will be interesting. Maine was up at 1.70. We got a first down on our first drive and then went 3-and-out afterwards. So we only got one first down, and then we punted, and then Maine scored a touchdown.
It was a terrible punt.
And then their quarterback ran like 30-ish yards to our 2-yard line, and they punched it in, and I was like, wow, that was crazy. Yeah. But those are like my first thoughts. Obviously, we'll get deeper into it, but I'll let you guys talk so I'm not yapping so much.
Yeah. I mean, we beat Maine, and we looked good beating Maine.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to.
I mean,
you get excited. Obviously, like honestly, it's exciting because we haven't won a game in so long. So it's like, all right, this is what it feels like. But I remember the point where like it was literally Javonte's like that first run that 75, and like everybody was like, yeah, and I was just like, dude, he's literally playing like high school talent.
That's what's crazy. I remember when Javonte broke away, everybody's going crazy, and me and Kylan just like.
I remember JJ was like, grab my shoe. She was like, yeah. And I was like, I hope Javonte Barnes could run like that against Maine.
You know, on Wednesday, Colby did say, and I think we all agreed, that if they scored a single touchdown, we would crash out. And they scored 2 touchdowns. I think the game overall was probably a disappointment, especially defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, like our score predictions, for example, were 58-3, 63-0, 62-0. So all of our score predictions had us playing better than we actually did.
Oh, yeah.
So we were worse than we expected.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was just, it was what it was. We succeeded in beating Maine.
We did it.
I mean, I think Jackson looked really good. I think Javonte looked really good. I think everybody else kind of looked pretty normal on offense.
Yeah.
Like, did we allow a sack today, didn't we? Maybe.
I want to say he got out.
I think one.
Did we allow one? I think we might have actually,
maybe. I feel like we allowed one.
I think you're right.
That's really bad.
That early in the game,
he
was getting pressured like crazy. And I was like, bro, these guys are actually terrible. And you're allowing him to get pressured. The fact that he's getting pressured is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That was insane.
The receivers were all right. And the defense had a lot of breakdowns. I'm really worried about the secondary. Yeah. It's gotten worse. It's gotten a lot worse. A lot worse. Like, when we played Tennessee, it wasn't like a gap that I was like, ooh, this is a really bad gap. Now it's like, this is a really bad gap. It's gotten a lot worse.
And I don't know why.
I don't know why.
No sacks.
It seems like Kanai, at the beginning of the year, I didn't hate Kanai. Yeah. And now I'm like, Kanai, I don't want you on the field. And who's the other? Not Eli. Des Malone.
Yeah.
Des Malone is regressed, I feel like, too.
Which is insane.
I had a lot of trust in him at the beginning of the year. And then obviously our safeties, who I really would have bet on at the beginning of the year, have kind of – the only guy at safety that I really has never ceased to do the exact same, RSJ.
Yeah.
He's just consistent, but everybody else has their moments out there.
Because, I mean, I feel like Billy kind of sets the tone, and Billy's having a not great year, so it's hard for
That's what's crazy.
him to probably like not lead. But I mean, those guys are pretty much most of the safety room is sophomore, freshmen. So
and they're outperforming him.
Like,
Yeah.
What do you think about that, dude? Because I mean, he was third, fourth projected, like probably fourth
round.
round, yeah.
Oh,
Fourth round
I think
projected.
he might have been high. I thought he was like second, third.
Yeah,
Or I
man.
guess Danny was
It depends.
first.
It depends
Yeah,
on
what you're looking at.
Yeah. But and it's like, oh, I don't know. And you know, his expectation coming into the year is it's you and the other safety. Can't
Peyton?
I can't
Peyton.
say-
Peyton Bowen.
No. Like nationally.
Oh, Caleb Downs.
Oh,
yeah.
Caleb Downs,
It was
yeah.
him and Caleb Downs. Like that was the
Yeah.
the two. Was the expectation.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, who's gonna win All American? And now it's like, he's not in the discussion for All American. So
I don't think he's in the discussion for getting drafted.
I think he's probably.
I mean, I think maybe 5th, 6th round.
yeah. There's a
But,
lot. There's
I mean-
a lot of rounds in the NFL. That's the reason he'll get drafted. There's a lot.
Yeah. Just compared to what he originally was projected.
Yeah, his stock definitely went down, which is a shame because it's like it's a shame.
I also think that, like last year, there was not many times where Billy wasn't out there, and there's a lot of times now that Billy's not out there.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and that's pretty much on him. Like if he was providing that type of value, like I can't bring him off the
Yeah.
field, then he's out there all the time. Danny Stutzman is out there pretty much most of the time.
Yeah.
So
That's been a big disappointment. It's been a big
I mean,
disappointment.
Caleb Downs is also having a very
yeah.
bad. He has 18 tackles
Mm-hmm.
and 3 pass deflections, and he has no picks, no forced fumbles. Anything.
Yeah.
Isn't it so crazy how that's like there's 3 guys that come to mind that everybody was talking about on defense that
James
were just
Pierce
insane.
Jr.
James Pierce Jr., Billy, and Caleb Downs. And they all have
Mm-hmm.
completely underperformed.
Yeah.
Completely.
That's why preseason
It's crazy.
preseason
Really
talk. That's why I hate. There's nothing worse than the month of August.
Yeah.
I was talking to my boss about this August. I was like, we're in the worst time of year because everybody's talking about football, but nobody knows what football is.
Absolutely.
Nobody knows.
Yes.
And I hate that time of month or that time of year. But anyway, that's been disappointing.
Yeah.
That's been disappointing. Secondary in general has been disappointing.
Senators in general.
Eli Bowen though,
He's the one
he is
shining
a-
star.
He is a
Yeah.
dog.
He's so good. I
And
think he's
he's-
better than
you
his
know-
brother.
Oh yeah.
I also think
Like,
if you're talking
he's-
like considering that he's a freshman, Jaden Hardy
Yeah, he's
is
Yep.
he makes a
playing
lot
really
of. I mean, he doesn't get as much. I know he played it.
No, he doesn't play much, yeah.
but he has a lot of like special teams reps, and he is
Mhm.
always flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he makes a lot of big plays on special
Yeah.
teams.
I like Hardy. He's gonna come up.
Yeah.
Loganowski, I watched that hit. I said he didn't even try and tackle him right. He literally came in there like this and just said,
Yeah.
and I was like, all right. Hey, I heard it. I said, okay.
Uh-huh.
I don't. Something has got to be going on in your head. If you're just
Not
going to
much.
run and
Actually,
just
there's
speak-
probably
actually,
nothing.
there's probably
It's probably absolutely nothing's going on here. Just
there's
like,
probably not a
like, oh, I see
dang
the ball.
thing going on in your head.
right there, crown of your head.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's 2 different kinds of defensive guys. In my seeing,
Yeah,
it is the guys that are like Kip
yeah,
that play with anger, and there's guys like Danny that play with IQ.
yeah.
And neither one is better than the other.
Yeah.
But Bogues is definitely he's an anger guy.
You
He
just
plays
get
with
that
a lot of
shit.
anger.
Dude, what do
Like
you
he's an
do?
emotional guy.
Speaking of
Yeah.
anger, I want to talk about EPL. That
Yeah.
rascal came into the game.
Uh-huh.
That was
And then
crazy.
she said, "I'm just gonna crash out."
Yeah.
The play was,
It was
well over.
and then went and jumped on him. And I was like, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's crazy.
honestly, I don't mind it because most of our O linemen are extremely soft, and I don't think if Jackson or Michael, whoever's at quarterback, I mean, obviously, I guess Jackson, if he were to get just absolutely, I don't know if y'all saw like Justin Herbert last week where that guy was like twisting his ankle
Yeah,
and
yeah.
his lineman, I don't even think they would do anything. They give me the vibe where it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they would probably do something in that case, but it's just like there's no like aggression. It's kind of like, if you let your quarterback get sacked 9 times, like come on, there's like, just kind of like, yeah.
At that
Oh, well.
point, if an O lineman reached down to grab my hand, I would swat his hand.
Not with your
I do not with your hands.
Talking about the O lineman with the quarterback relationship, what did y'all think? A lot of people really like the DG retreat. Do y'all remember
Yeah.
that? Where he would take the
Yeah.
O lineman out to that lake and whatnot. And a lot of people thought like, oh, Jackson will pick the tradition up, and he didn't. That was a bit
That's
disappointing.
something that you have to do. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
I honestly, I don't think, I think that might be, Because if you look across the league, there are so many quarterbacks that do something.
Headphones,
like literally Jalen Miller,
cars.
Cars.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I don't know his true what that paycheck's looking like from month to month, but I know it's got to be a solid amount.
He's making six figures.
Well, he's
Probably
Dr.
high
Pepper. Dr.
six
Pepper, that's a
Dr.
big.
Pepper, that's the one that's huge.
That's a big
dude,
one.
You can do. It
He's
doesn't have to be
making good
cars.
money.
I know cars are a little.
Yeah.
That's a little nuts, but customized. I mean, I think Shadur's getting his whole line, and they were awful. And he's getting them. He's like, hey, I got y'all Richard Millie plane. I got y'all whatever. And it's like these guys let him get sacked 20 times a game.
Yeah,
and he's
52
doing
times last year.
Literally. So like, he has no reason to do that for them.
Yeah.
But still, you have to as a quarterback.
I agree.
Those are guys that are going to protect you.
It's also like once the tradition starts, to end it, it's like, yeah.
Because I know they were looking forward to it. Like,
Uh-huh.
hey,
Oh,
this
yeah.
the week.
Yeah. And
That's
it's
probably the most important relationship on the football field.
No,
for
easy.
sure. Not even close.
The quarterback and O-line. And
Yeah.
I never saw one OU post to Jackson getting them beats, dinner. I saw at least Michael got him dinner.
Yeah.
I've never heard. Now, Jackson probably has brought them to dinner.
I think
once,
Jackson they did
but
go out to dinner.
I never heard about it.
But DG, dude, it was like
DG had a whole weekend retreat.
a whole weekend
truck,
retreat.
ski. All
They
this
went out to
stuff.
steaks at Charleston every year. Like I remember after OU Texas that bye week, he took him out. All sorts of stuff, and it's like I get DG's paycheck is probably huge, but you can't tell me Jackson can't call up or some like Airbnb and be like, I'm Jackson Arnold.
Yeah.
Okay.
He can put something together.
Yeah.
He's got an agent that could probably do it for him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's
Interesting.
disappointing.
Yeah. I guarantee you, if I was an O lineman and I got steak dinner and got to go out to the lake, I'm not letting up 19 sacks in 2 weeks.
Well, to be
Ain't
fair, DG had a really good O-line,
He did.
and we have a very buns
did.
O-line. But still, it's just like
But
carry the tradition.
Even them and EPL and Isaiah Autry on the right side of the line looked incredible.
They didn't look bad
I
at
was
all.
like-
Yeah. There was one pass where Dean was getting off, but I mean
he got off bad.
Autry did the right thing and he turned
He
his
flipped his
he
hips,
turned
yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
So if Jackson would have scooted up, but Jackson already released the
Yeah.
ball. But if he would have scooted up, there still would have been that pocket. But they didn't look bad. They didn't look bad at all. They're
Makes you
freshmen.
wonder.
But it's also Maine. But
Makes you wonder.
their fundamentals.
It's technique. You can see
their
everything
technique
you need
looked
to
pretty
know
good.
based on technique.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it is a Maine D lineman.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be the Bama, Tennessee D
Yeah.
lineman. Obviously, get that.
Yeah.
But you can see if I watch Spencer Brown,
Hmm.
I'm like, I understand why he can't block anybody. Like it makes sense. He literally does not look like athletic. Like the technique doesn't even look close. But then you watch these guys, and it's like they're fresh out of high school. Pretty much, they took everything that they learned in high school and probably like, scrap that. Bill, what do you got to say? And it looked like
It makes you wonder, dude. It really makes you wonder why haven't they been out there? Because that's a really bad coaching job if they weren't, and if they're good and they weren't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. What do we think about the receivers? Average. J.J. Hester has now the 2 longest catches this whole season. Auburn and today. So that's good for him.
Out of dang pure luck. I mean, if you shoot it 100 times, you're going to hit it once.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do you go out there for that deep ball and it just doesn't connect?
overthrown or he doesn't catch it. It's just
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any really, and it's Maine.
It's
I just don't have
Maine.
anything impressive to say about it, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just something.
I just, man, seeing Jacob Jordan on the receiver, the starting receivers, Jacob Jordan, and I'm like, God.
He's not bad.
He's not bad, but he's 5'10", 180, just like me.
He's not 5'10".
He's like 5.
He's got to be 5'7". No,
Yeah.
he's probably listed at
He's
5'10".
5'10". He's actually
He's listed at 5'10".
He's my height. I've stood next to him. He's like my height. They look small on the field. You got to realize.
No, 100%.
It says 5'9" right there.
Yeah, you got to realize.
Okay, so he's 5'9".
Yeah, he actually probably is 5'9" too, like a real 5'9", because you got to realize out there.
Oh, yeah.
6'3".
A 6 foot, like a straight 6 foot, looks tiny out there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you're standing next to JJ Hester,
yeah, of
JJ
course.
Hester's
Yeah.
like 6'6",
Yeah, of
and then
course.
Spencer Brown right next to you is 6'8". So it's
Yeah.
like those are you look tiny out there if you're 6 foot, but.
Yeah, I thought Jacob Jordan played really well. Granted, you would like to see Deion Burks instead of Jacob Jordan, but I thought he played pretty well.
He
played pretty
played good against Maine.
Yeah.
He's great and all, but it's like that should just man.
It
I get
should
what
be
you're
hard
saying.
to break
I get
out.
what you're saying.
The receiver room is so bad that like if you break out, it's like, who are you? If he would have like broke out and it's
Yeah.
Nick, Jaleel, Andrell,
Yeah.
all these people, and it's like he comes in and just is cooking them, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. But it's just like, oh, he looks good against Zion Ragens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Zion Kearney. It's like,
Well,
I mean, hey, no shade to him. Hey, you're doing your thing.
yeah.
But still, it's just like, I mean,
It's
Average,
impressive.
yeah,
It's
it's
just
impressive.
like you were wide receiver 10 or 11 at the beginning of the year. It's like we didn't want you to have to break out.
Yeah.
But you had to break out. We needed you.
What's really sad is that breaking out is he makes a couple good plays.
Yeah.
That's
plays.
what the kicker here is like. It's not breaking out where he had an amazing 150-yard game. It's he made 2 good plays. Now he's a starter. It's
Yeah.
like that's how bad our
That's how bad
that's
it
how
is.
bad our wide receivers were. Is that
He got a touchdown and he's against
yeah,
Ole Miss, and
he had
now
a
he's
touchdown
starting
against-
wide receiver.
yeah, he got touchdown against Ole Miss, and now he's a starting wide receiver.
That's so bad.
He had a couple good catches against South Carolina, and now he's a starter. It's crazy.
like,
That-
what's so Deion Burks is
Yeah.
still second in receiving. He hasn't played in 5 weeks.
Weeks.
he didn't
like-
play.
He hasn't played since Tennessee.
He left. Didn't he leave like first half Tennessee?
Yes. Or
Yes.
like, I think it was second half. I don't know. Whenever. It doesn't matter.
He left Tennessee.
He left
Yeah.
during the Tennessee game.
Yeah.
And he's still the second receiving.
Power
That's
Sharp is the only person ahead of him.
that is the only thing you need to know about how bad the wide receiver
And
room is.
it doesn't even, like, it's so bad. It's literally 242, 201, 184, 153, 124. Jacob Jordan is 5th. He's
Jacob
5th.
Jordan started playing 3 weeks ago.
He's 5th. He has 12
That's so
catches.
sorry
Yeah,
for
he has
for
to-
everybody else.
yes.
That's so sorry for everybody else.
If
Devontae
I'm
Barnes.
Brennan Thompson, dog,
Yeah.
get a sales book.
Yeah.
You're selling cars,
Yeah.
buddy.
You better start getting the books.
Get in the
Yeah.
books.
Hit the books.
Hope- What's that major, man?
Devin Energy,
Zion Reagan.
associate assistant.
I feel bad for him because it's like,
Who's Zion Ragens?
yeah, because it's like
Is
you
he healthy?
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's out there every time.
and he don't do a thing.
He don't- And the thing, if I would be Zion Ragen when he came into OU, he was like, "All right, I'm chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finna be a future freak. I'm going crazy. Hey, my game day on Thursday. I'm ready." And then they said, "Hey, 81, you're in."
Yeah.
And
And his eyes like this.
Huh? What you mean? Me? I'm in. And now, bro has to play, and he's so undersized.
He's
it's not-
little.
There's like
Yeah,
Jacob Jordan
he is
is
little bitty.
little, but like he's like
Reagan's is a different
but
type.
he's literally this.
Reagan's
big.
He's
is
small
actually
and
small.
skinny.
And it's just like,
Yeah, he's not ready for it.
but I mean, any hit that he takes, he gets up, but it's just like he doesn't take that many hits.
Dude.
But trying to block, you're cooked.
Oh yeah. It's like if you're that size, like Hollywood Brown was his size. Hollywood Brown was a little bit stronger, but Hollywood Brown was also the fastest wide receiver in college football when he played. It's like Zion
5'8",
Ragens.
145. Hollywood Brown was not even close.
No.
to
Hollywood Brown was probably like 175.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm saying is like if you're gonna be that small, you have to have like some skill that like nobody else can
You
match,
can't be
like
this- it
speed.
doesn't matter what skill
or
you have,
hand.
you just
It's
can't
just got to be speed.
I just don't think
But-
you can be 145 and play college.
No.
just-
It's
no.
just crazy because like
145 is
That's insane.
I just don't understand because it's like
that's bad.
you have Reagan's out there, and then let's say you sub him for Jacob Jordan, and then let's say you sub him for JJ Ruff, our buddy
Yeah.
JJ Ruff. JJ Ruff would look like the biggest guy out there, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy that like, yeah, these guys are small. You guys
They're
are really
little.
small.
How did Zion?
Because he's.
I don't know
fat.
much about his
Fast
history,
as yeah,
but
He's-
it doesn't.
it doesn't.
It clearly has.
But that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
think they brought him
manifested.
in like, hey, when we put 20, 30 pounds on him, he's going to be a burner. It's Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
5'8".
Yeah.
Now he's 170.
Yeah.
Now, okay.
Now he's
you
Hollywood
compete,
Brown.
And now
He's
he's Hollywood
literally
Brown.
yeah.
But he's 145.
yeah.
And he's probably people. If you're 145 in college, that means you can't put on weight worth a lick.
We could light him up. We could light Zion.
Most people
Ragens
can
up.
light him up.
Yeah,
Most
most
people light
people.
him up.
He's
That's.
145.
I mean, if
you
you-
weigh more than.
I have.
You weigh like 30 pounds.
I
on
have
Zion.
yes, I have 30 pounds on Zion Reagan.
I weighed 145. I was
That's
probably in
I
fourth
have
grade.
30
crazy.
pounds on Zion Reagan.
I was 170 in sixth grade, so I was 145
Wait,
probably in the fourth grade.
I was 150 freshman year of high school,
Like,
and I was this big around.
That's how big he is.
He's
and I mean, hey,
little
credit
bitty.
to him because bro's going out there and he is one of the few
He's
that
playing for OU.
and he's
but-
playing for OU and he hasn't been hurt
Yeah.
and he's taking lick after lick after lick. So I mean, hey, obviously, I guess he's got to have some type of dog, but it's just like that is. I would be pissed
Dog.
if I got thrown out there at 145 and I got to go against Tennessee DB who's
Yeah.
6'1", 208.
Yeah, dude. If I'm if I'm a linebacker and I see Zion Richardson's lineup, I am licking my chops because I'm thinking if he runs a slant route, I am breaking. I'm snapping him in half.
That's crazy, bro.
It's so crazy. But he gets up. That's what's weird.
the
He's got to put on pounds.
The sad thing
he
is
literally has to get on
is
mass gainer.
He was supposed to be on mass gainer the entire season, but he can't be because he has to be
playing, yeah.
be ready for the game.
He has to be playing.
You can't be on mass gainer.
Yeah.
Can't be eating 5,000 calories a day if you got to
Yeah.
go run.
Putting up down at PB&J probably every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally, I bet he's on some crazy nutrition program.
Yeah, but then
where
it's
he's
like,
eating literally probably
he
4,000 to
can't,
5,000
He
calories
probably
a day.
can't because
And he can't, because he's playing football.
because you're trying to go out there on game day. And
if you go
you ate 3,000 calories before
you
11.
just throw up.
Yeah.
If you had
Yeah.
6 McDonald's cheeseburgers,
Yeah, so he probably
Holy
has
boy.
to stop all the weight gain stuff that he was supposed to do
Yeah.
for the entire season, which
Yeah.
sucks.
how many pounds do you think he's going to put on the offseason?
A good amount. Schmitty and the
15 to
nutrition
20.
will get him right.
You can get 20 in the offseason. You can
Oh,
get 20.
oh yeah,
You can get
easy.
20,
You
25.
can easily
We
get
don't
20
make bowl
pounds.
game.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's see,
Easily.
you take December to August.
I think.
easily you can get 20.
I mean,
I got 25
You get
pounds
9
in 3
months.
months.
Yeah.
you can easily get.
He can definitely get.
As an athlete, you can easily get 4 a month. A pound a week is like
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
easy if you have the best nutrition, best recovery. So yeah, a pound a week for 20 weeks.
4 a month is.
No, yeah, that's like
easy.
yeah.
That's like I think a normal person can get 4 a month.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
5 months off season.
Oh yeah, with
Yeah.
their nutrition, they can probably get 6, 7, maybe even
So
8.
so then you're talking 40 pounds in the off season,
Yeah.
which would be crazy.
which is crazy.
If he comes back,
Hey, it's possible though. If he
gained 40 pounds, that'd be Deion Burks.
Yeah, I don't
Jeez.
know if he's turned into beyond.
I don't think he'll
Deion
gain
Burks
40
in the
pounds,
That's what I'm
but he
saying.
could definitely gain 20, 25.
But Brendan Thompson
do
is
that.
165. That's 20 pounds. If Zion Richardson put on 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, if you do literally 4 pounds, a pound a week,
Yeah.
and just do that for 5 months, then you're 20 pounds heavier and you're cooking. So, yeah, wide receiver room, just a disappointment, man. I was in the locker room today and before the team got there, and it's all just the injured guys.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad, dude. Seeing Farouk, Anderson,
Farouk should be getting healthy soon.
Andrell.
He said him and Deion were running around at practice, but
Yeah, they were. They are.
they can keep running around. They're not playing until next year.
They are. Why would they? Why would you? Why would you come back
my
this
red
year?
shirt.
Unless you were like, man, I really want to play in Death Valley.
Who would you want to?
Or I really want to play against Bama. I'm like, well, you play him next year, but
I don't think there's inspiration to do that whatsoever
probably not.
for anybody on that team. But
Yeah, we probably won't see. I guarantee we won't see them the rest of the year.
I don't think so.
I don't think we'll see
doubt
Deion.
it.
Definitely not Nick Anderson.
Why would you? Why would?
Yeah.
Oh, Nick Anderson. I think they already declared him out for the
He's
season.
good.
Yeah, yeah. It's really Andrell and Deion are technically the guys that like you could see, but you probably won't. I don't think you will. But Jaden Gibson and Nick Anderson are cooked. Who's the other one? Andrell, Deion, Jalil, and yeah, Jalil's.
Jalil is running around. He said Jalil and Deion are running around. So
Jalil's a
don't
little
see-
behind Andrell and
Is he?
Deion.
Oh, okay.
From what I've seen.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's really all.
it doesn't matter.
It all don't matter.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We
Yeah.
probably won't see him. I don't know. It's just a shame. Just a shame because what that wide receiver room could be, crazy.
I was looking at them right because I was like, I want to see like, are they that bad? And I mean, they were getting clamped.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's bad.
That's
I
bad.
made.
If you can't get a,
And we're talking about what's the main thing we're talking about? Undersized. Nick Anderson, Jaden Gibson. They're the
6'5",
opposite
6'4",
problem.
Yeah,
Farouk's like 6'1", and
Uh-huh.
Andrew's like 6'1", or
Yeah.
Andrew's like 6 foot.
Yeah. Andrew's like 6'3".
Is he
or something.
6'3"?
He's a little taller.
Oh, I thought
He's taller than Jalil.
Is he? Oh,
He's about actually no, he's about the same height. So probably 6'1".
6'1", yeah.
But yeah, opposite problem. When you talk about Jaden Gibson and Nick Anderson, you're talking about CD Lamb height.
Yeah,
CD
Yeah.
Lamb builds. Man, just a shame.
that's crazy.
So one thing that
He's
I've been hearing, we're going into Missouri, Alabama, LSU. I'm gonna name a few names for you guys. Few names. And just let me know what you think they have in common. Ryan Williams, Luther Burden III, and is it Tyron Lacey?
Kylan Lacaze.
Kyron Lacey.
Tyron, yeah.
What do you think those guys have in common?
There are receivers that are raw.
Wide receivers that are probably, what would you say, top 5? All three of them are top 5? Maybe top 10.
Yeah, probably top 10.
Luther Burden top 3.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Williams top 7, and then
Are you
Kyron
saying
Lacey.
like based on stats? Or are you saying
just based on skill. Like Luther Burden, I think is probably the best wide receiver skill wise in the nation.
Yeah.
Ryan Williams top 5, 6, 7, and Kylan Lacaze up there too. Our secondary.
Good.
Eli Bowen's probably getting matched up with Luther Burden III.
He will be. He's our best corner.
Luther Burden III. Oh no.
Eli Bowen with Ryan Williams.
Oh no.
I see. That's not.
Eli Bowen with Kyrie
Here's
Lacaze.
the thing. I'm actually, because I'm thinking about it. Eli Bowen got matched up against a 5-star like Cam Coleman at Auburn. I'm basing it on like size, because that's what I think of. Like, I just think he's little and he's going to get like just bullied. Like speed and technique, because I've seen him and it just looks like he's a dog. But I mean, still, he hasn't seen any receiver like that.
Here's my thing.
Oh man.
You have a guy that's going to the league, probably first round draft pick, going up against, and I don't care how good he is, an undersized true freshman. That's a recipe for disaster. Luther Burden III is the equivalent of a dang Ryan Broyles. I mean, like, he's the best Missouri wide receiver in probably Missouri history. And we're lining him up against a true freshman. Just scary hours. I'm really worried about the...
Yeah. It makes you wonder.
Makes you wonder.
The only benefit, I guess, to the Luther Burden situation is that Mizzou was on their
their
third string.
quarterback.
Mizzou. I mean, I don't know how much that helps when you have a guy like Luther Burden, but
then you go
it's
to
better
Alabama.
than their starter. It's better than having their starting quarterback.
Then you go to Bama and you have Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams.
Yeah, that's just cook.
And then you go to LSU and you have Garrett Nussmeier and Kylan Lacaze.
Garrett Nussmeier.
Luther Burden has 40 catches for 450 yards.
Averaging about 10.
Huh?
He's averaging about 10 yards a catch. Yeah. 40 for 450. Yeah.
The thing is,
a little more.
I think his stats don't reflect how good he is.
No, that's fair.
Because he plays at a rough offense.
Ryan Williams, 35 catches, 702 yards.
Good Lord Almighty.
Kylan Lacaze has 41 catches for 618 yards.
Yeah, they're gonna cook.
Yeah.
Well, Luther Burden, honestly, on paper, actually not even. Ryan Williams is like probably his best size matchup on paper.
Yeah. Who do you stack Luther Burden with? Do you stack him with Peyton Bowen or do you stack him with Billy Bowman or RSJ?
Probably RSJ in my opinion at this point in the year, but
yeah. I would argue with who we have.
Luther Burden.
Put Eli on the island.
Probably RSJ.
Luther Burden is projected 15th overall to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, that'd be fire. Get him with Bake.
He needs some. He needs some. Dear Lord, he needs some.
That'd be sick.
He has no receiver right now.
Shambles right now.
He has
Carson Beck. They have Carson Beck projected to go to the Browns. That's
a career ender right there. Yeah. His career will end there if they.
It's so crazy how the Browns continually make just the worst. They make the worst mistakes. Granted, this is a mock draft, but
dang, dang, he was projected first like a month ago.
The Lions would actually be a perfect.
Him and Dan Campbell.
Perfect fit.
It's a good fit, but I mean, he's lost a lot of money in the past month when it comes to the draft.
He'll be all right.
But that'd be sick though.
He will be all right.
And Danny Stutzman and Dan Campbell or not?
Yeah, Dan Campbell.
Is it Dan Campbell?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would be a perfect fit like that.
Jeez, they got Shadur going first.
That's wild.
Or no,
second. Travis and Stur. Imagine
I think rightfully so.
And
personally.
God,
to the Panthers, my goodness.
Career ender.
No, not for him. I don't think so.
I mean, are they going to play good? Ever?
That's so crazy that Colorado has probably the 1 and 2 pick, and
I can't say they're buns.
You can't say they're buns.
No, I was gonna say they're not. I'm not saying they're buns, but currently they're not in the playoff picture.
Oh.
Well,
currently, I think they can be, but currently they aren't. I'm just saying it's crazy if you had a 1-2 on OU and we were ranked 18. It's just wild. Or what's Colorado ranked?
23rd.
20. So 20, they're barely ranked. Just crazy. But I think they have a good chance at Big 12.
I think they have a really good chance.
I'm just saying, currently at this point in the season, it's just crazy to think that. I think Colorado has a good chance to get into.
Yeah, I don't think their season has not been a disappointment at all.
No. Who are their 2 losses? Is it BYU?
It's Colorado.
No.
Let's
look it up.
Road.
Let's look up. Their 2 losses were
Kansas State
at home, And I'm going the wrong way. Arizona at home. Oh, wait, no, that's last year.
Nebraska
on the
and Kansas
road.
State.
That Nebraska loss looks really bad now.
It looks really bad.
Because Nebraska just lost at home to UCLA.
Nebraska, in my opinion, Nebraska is one of the biggest disappointments of this season.
Well,
Besides us.
I mean, Nebraska's
You can't tell me you expected Nebraska to be 5-4. You can't tell me that you expected them to lose to UCLA today.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, did anybody have playoff expectation? I just think
just better than what they normally are.
I just think everyone knew in the back of their minds Nebraska can be good. Will they really be good?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because last year everyone was saying Nebraska could be good this year. Will they really be good?
Matt Rule just does that every time. Like, he is the ultimate, like, will draw you into
build type.
Like, I got these guys ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, you don't.
Usually start out. Yeah. They usually start out like decent, like first couple games. I mean, last year was just like heartbreaking for Nebraska fans because they would lose by like 3 points.
Yeah, that was bad.
Who was their quarterback? I forgot, but he turned the ball over.
Casey Thompson.
No, he's at FAU last year.
Oh, well, I'm thinking 2 years ago when they had all those 3-point losses.
Oh, was that 2 years ago?
It was 2022.
Oh, I thought that was okay.
2022 with Casey Thompson, they lost by 3, like 4 times to like top 5 teams. Like they were losing to Ohio State by like 3, and it was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, Sims.
What is his name? Oh man.
Anyway,
I forget. Anyways, moving on. What are we talking about next?
I mean, do I want to be done talking about the main game?
Yeah,
I feel like that's really all there was to talk about.
I mean, disappointing defense for the most part. Mostly because you shouldn't allow a touchdown. Definitely shouldn't allow 2 touchdowns. Jackson looked better, as he should have. Javonte looked really good.
What did Jackson do today?
Michael didn't look bad from what we saw. Yeah. So, overall, it's just nice to have a win. We're one step closer to a bowl, and now we pray. I think if we don't beat Mizzou next week, I think everybody believes this at this table. We're not going to a bowl. If we don't beat Mizzou, we're not going to a bowl.
I think everybody in the nation is going to agree with you on that take.
So,
what'd their quarterback do?
Hopefully we'll
123 yards.
It's better than what we usually do.
Yep.
Yeah. The good thing is, I think this week was a good confidence builder for the offense. They just put up 59 points, and we had 0 defensive points. So that's like, it was all on the offense. So I don't know.
Hey, we did get a turnover.
And we got a turnover. We got our first turnover since Texas. Technically Ole Miss, but Texas.
Technically.
Was it a pick? No, the
it
pick
was
got
fumble
overturned.
recovery.
So we have not had an interception since the Kip Lewis interception against Auburn.
No, Texas. Billy Bowman, the first drive.
Oh, yeah.
20 years, yeah. But yeah.
Dang, on a pod like a week ago, we said that.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I honestly forgot about that.
No, I did too.
I really forgot that, like, the first drive.
I guess
JJ brought it
because
up.
after that, we just got smacked around.
Yeah. But yeah, so overall, nice win. I said we get into Ohio State, Penn State.
I mean, I didn't watch the game. I did see the Penn State was up 10-0, and
I tried to stream East it, but just the service in the stadium is pretty brutal.
They scored 10 in the first quarter, and
Dan Franklin's about to get fired.
Yeah, they just can't beat Ohio State. That's the thing.
8 straight losses.
James, he just proves over and over he can't win the big games. Penn State is always a 10-2, 11-1 team. They never make the playoffs, and they can't beat Ohio State and Michigan. That's been their issue the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a Ryan Day situation where Ryan Day is like on that line. You know, he's lost to Michigan. Was it 2 or 3 straight years now?
3.
And so it's just crazy. Like, it's crazy, and I would argue that Ohio State and Penn State kind of have that same pressure that having a head coach job at OU does, which is you can go 11-1, 10-2, but if you can't beat Texas, and I guess in our case now you can't beat Texas, you can't beat Bama over and over and over again, you're gone. And in BV's case, he gets to lose to everybody, and everybody still wants him here. So maybe that might change, but yeah, it's really crazy how I would argue just the big 3 in the Big Ten or previous Big Ten was like Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, and those fan bases. It's like if you cannot beat Michigan or Ohio State, you're gone. It's like I just went 11-1 or 10-2. But it doesn't matter because you're not making the playoffs, and people are tired of seeing New Year's Six bowls up there.
Yeah, I mean, Penn
So,
State, I
pretty
think
interesting.
this was pretty much the game that was marked on everybody's schedule. Like, if y'all win this game, you're going to playoffs.
Oh, easily.
Because
Easily.
they don't really, I mean,
Yeah.
the other game that they played that was, I mean, I guess you say USC, and they played Illinois, which is like, okay. But the rest of their schedule, I mean, you got
wins.
Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland.
Yeah.
Like, if you literally win, and the Ohio State game was at home, so, like, they had not easy, but, like, a favorable
Yeah.
path to get to the playoffs.
They're probably still going.
If they win out, are they going to the Big Ten Championship?
Probably not.
Who does Ohio State plays Michigan, but they're going to beat Michigan.
And they play Indiana at home.
That's going to be a really good game. That's going to be a really good game.
Yeah,
So
so
you think it's be like,
well,
Indiana
okay.
I think
is.
they go to, because it's going to be like 3-11-1 or.
Well, no, I'm saying Penn State probably won't make it because it's either going to be undefeated Indiana or Ohio State,
Yeah.
who will have the head-to-head, and it's going to be Oregon.
Yeah.
So Penn State probably won't make the Big Ten championship, but I think they'll make the playoff.
You think they make the playoffs?
They'll be 11-1. Who else would?
I'm saying, like, if it's 11-1, because you said Indiana plays Ohio State.
Yeah.
So if Ohio State beats Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Oregon and Ohio State in the playoffs, you
Mhm.
think it's going to be Indiana? You think it's going to be Penn State over Indiana?
I'd probably be both. I would say,
So you're going to put 4 teams in there?
yeah, 4 teams from the Big Ten. Okay, so let's see. You have 3 teams from other conferences, 4 for Miami. So you have 8 spots left. I would say probably 4 and 4 SEC Big Ten.
You don't think one Big 12 sneaks in?
No. Two. There will be 1 Big 12 team. There'll definitely not be 2. I don't think.
Jeez.
What about?
I definitely don't think it'll be
You might
2.
have 2 ACC.
I counted for 2 ACCs.
Yeah.
So you're going 2 Big 10, 2 ACC, 2 SEC, 1 Big 12. So it's 7. So you got 5 spots left.
And group of 5, so you have 4 spots left.
4 spots left.
So maybe 2 and 2, 2 Big 10, 2
Yeah.
SEC.
Which would be 4.
That
Yeah.
seems that would make
That
sense.
that's what
Yeah, that
would
would make
mean.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Penn State at 11-1 makes it over anybody in the SEC with
I know.
9-3.
I wonder what does. Let's say it's BYU and Iowa
was
State
saying
in the
both.
Big 12
Yeah.
championship, and they're both undefeated going to the Big 12 championship,
So
which is possible.
Let's look at the Big 12 standings because
Iowa State won today, right? Or did they?
barely.
Okay.
Barely.
So-
they scraped by.
Squeaker.
So they won. So they're 8-0.
Yes. They're 7-0.
7-0 now. Wait, no. Oh, they're. Oh, Texas Tech is up 23-22. 4 seconds left in the fourth.
Yep.
Snap.
So never
Holy
mind.
cow. So Iowa State has the ball, 3rd and 10 at their own 37.
All right, we're trying.
Oh my gosh, this is like a prayer. Pod, this is crazy. This is crazy. Texas Tech just won. Yep, they just won.
So Texas Tech just won. So never mind. Big 12 is
Iowa
only
State
7-1.
is 7-1.
Big 12 is 7-1 team. Big 12 is 4.
They're the only. BYU's the only undefeated Big 12 team.
Yes. So they're going to be the only.
Yeah.
Jeez. Florida, Georgia still tied 2020.
So, okay. Here's a hypothetical situation. Iowa State wins out, 11-1, go to the Big 12 championship. BYU undefeated, go to the Big 12 championship. Iowa State beats BYU in the Big 12.
BYU ain't
Now
making
you have 2 11-1 teams.
BYU ain't making it. There's only going to be one from the Big 12. Who are they making it over? 11-1 Miami? 11-1
saying,
Penn State? Who are they
if
choosing?
They're 11-1.
Well, what?
If they're 11-1, I feel like
Both
you're
could be
gonna
11-1. They both could be
I
11-1.
feel like
Okay,
if
but
you
you
take
have to
2
if
from
you put BYU in, you have to take out Miami, Penn State, or an SEC team that's 10-2. You aren't taking any of those out.
If we take 2 from every conference, if we take 2 from the Big 12, 2 from the SEC, 2 from the ACC, and then 2 from
Big 10.
the Big 10,
That's 8,
that's 8. And you get G5.
9.
You got 9.
Okay,
you got
but
3
you're not
spots
okay.
left.
Okay. The 5 conference champions.
Okay.
Then you probably have the loser of the Big 10 and SEC. So that's 7. So you have 5 spots left. I think you have Indiana, Penn State over BYU for sure. And then you have probably LSU, A&M, Tennessee.
I don't think you put a 2-loss LSU
That's what
in.
I'm saying. How are you going to put a 2-loss team over a 1-loss team?
I think LSU.
Who does LSU have left?
LSU.
Bama.
LSU's not beating. They might, but
Play Bama next week.
if LSU beats, let's see, who do they have left?
They
They have Bama. They have Bama, Florida, Vanderbilt, and us.
Okay, I think the SEC is getting these 5 right here into the playoff. Maybe 4. I think
Can you say them for the pod?
A&M, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, and maybe LSU. I think will make the playoff. LSU might not. Again, also Bama can sneak in. Ole Miss can kind of sneak in. They have to be perfect though. But I think probably 4 or 5. Probably 4. Big Ten is probably getting 4. I think. So that's 8. And then you have Big 12 champion, Miami, Clemson.
Well, Clemson, one of them
G5.
SEC. Oh, okay.
So you have 8 plus 4, that's 12. I just don't think there's room.
Yeah.
I just don't think in the big,
I just don't think that they're going to take 5 SEC teams.
They don't have to. They only have to take 4.
If they take 4, if it's
are
they able to? How many teams could finish with 1 loss? Could they all, do any of those teams play each other? I'm trying to think.
Texas and A&M play each
Texas
other.
A&M
One of them is going to have.
You think if Texas doesn't win the SEC chip, but they have 2 losses, that they're not making the playoff?
I'm just saying
over
I feel like
over BYU, they're taking Texas every time.
I don't know. I don't think that there's a way where you can put 4 in a Power 4 conference. You take 4 teams, especially if every other conference you take both winner and loser, and you just say, no, never mind. You guys are good. We'll just take your winner. I feel like that's going to cause so much.
I think that's the already. Before BYU and Iowa State were doing good, the narrative already was there's only going to be 1 Big 12 team. There's only going to be 1 ACC team. The only reason that there's an argument is because they were both undefeated. And now that they're not, I don't think that there will even be an argument. Okay, I'm just saying, okay, for BYU in this scenario to make it, one of these teams has to go. One of these 4 teams or one of these 4 teams.
So
I don't see that just happening.
Currently, if the playoffs were today, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, and A&M would be in.
Yes.
However, Texas and A&M have to play.
But neither one of them is going to drop out of the playoff. There's no way.
Both of them will have. One of them will have 2 losses. Alabama is 14. They have 2 losses. LSU is 16. They have 2 losses. I just don't think, and you might disagree, but why would a 10-2 Texas get over a 10-2 Bama?
Oh, I was about to say, if you said 10-2 Texas over BYU, I would go crazy because I was like, of course.
No. But I'm serious, because I'm playing both sides here.
Yeah.
If you're arguing that a 10-2 Texas would get in over 11-1 BYU, well, why is it that Bama has 2 losses and they're ranked 14?
Because they lost to Vanderbilt and Texas is losing to A&M and Georgia. That's just a completely different world.
It's not really, because they're both 10-2 at the end of the season, theoretically. Or A&M. Okay. Say A&M has 2 losses. 10-2 A&M or 10-2 Bama.
A&M lost to Notre Dame and Texas.
One of them gets in?
A&M, okay, but the A&M lost to Notre Dame and Texas. Alabama lost to what? Vanderbilt and who else? Tennessee. Those are very different losses. Texas, okay, losing to Georgia and then A&M on the road versus Vanderbilt and Tennessee, that's completely different.
I don't think a Notre Dame loss and a Tennessee loss are very different.
But a Vanderbilt loss.
Vanderbilt, I can see where you're coming from. Vanderbilt almost beat Texas.
I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying.
And I'm also not saying Alabama's in the playoff race too. I never said they weren't.
Well, you said the top 4, and Bama is ranked currently 8 in the SEC.
I agree. I'm just saying
double down the list.
I'm saying that these 4 SEC teams are the most likely to make the playoffs, and I think they probably will.
I agree that I think 4 SEC teams will get in.
Yeah.
I just don't see how. I personally don't see how a 10-2 SEC team would get in over a 1-loss BYU who lost in the Big 12 championship.
But I
don't see that. I don't see how in the final rankings, because
that doesn't make sense to me.
Let's say BYU.
That makes the most. The SEC bias is. I don't think y'all realize how big the SEC bias is.
Oh, it's insane.
I understand. That's what I'm saying.
Say BYU goes undefeated the rest of the year. If they go undefeated the rest of the year, first off, let's say Texas loses to Texas A&M, BYU will slide up. So you're looking, just if BYU moves up 1 spot, they'll be the 8th team in the country. Ohio State's going to drop down past BYU. So BYU is looking right, as of probably tomorrow, they will at least be 8. At the very least, they will be 8.
So let's say
let's say they undefeated the rest of the year.
Yeah.
They'll probably move up to 6. So they'll probably move up to 6. and let's say Iowa State wins out the rest of the year, Iowa State will probably be like 15. So
if
I just don't see how
if 6 loses to 15.
I just don't see how they drop 6 spots out of the play, or 5 spots technically out of the playoff.
If they lose to 15 Iowa State and they're 6, I can definitely see a world where they drop out.
I could see it. I just don't see how they would drop out and a 10-2
Texas,
who didn't even make the SEC championship would get an over BYU.
You think they wouldn't choose Texas over BYU?
I think.
Like, let me just put that scenario in your mind.
Yeah.
10-2 Texas or 12-1 BYU. What do you think they're going to choose? Like the playoff committee, not you.
10-2 Texas.
10-2 Texas.
I personally, because I don't have any, because this is
who would the playoff committee choose?
Based off of what
I honestly think that
based off what they did last year, they would probably pick Texas.
I think they would pick Texas
because they chose Texas and Bama over a 13-0 Florida State team. But there was also other factors involved in that. Like if Jordan Travis didn't get hurt, they would have taken Florida State over Texas and Bama last year. You can't tell me if Jordan Travis didn't get hurt, they wouldn't have taken Florida State. As soon as Jordan Travis got hurt, Florida State looked dog water. They barely snuck by their last 2 games. So I think it's hard to compare to last year because there's a black swan there there's a reason why Florida State didn't get in and they got stomped in the Orange Bowl, but they also didn't have their quarterback who was the Heisman frontrunner at the time.
Here's my thing with this whole argument.
I don't know.
BYU, their loss would be to Iowa State. Texas's loss is Georgia and A&M. Like those are different stratospheres. Like those are not even the same. That's the NFL compared to high school. When you talk about Iowa State, Iowa State to Georgia,
that's not
Iowa State to Georgia. It's not NFL to high school, but it's a big difference. Don't even tell me there's not a big difference.
It's not. As of today, it would be 9 spots. 9 spots in the ranking. That's 2 and 11.
Okay, in the ranking. Georgia.
That's what we're ranking. We're talking about rankings.
No. But I'm saying
I won't put you in this.
No.
I'm a leader here.
Georgia and Iowa State. Put them on the same field. What's going to happen?
Georgia would beat Iowa State, but that's clear, obviously, because Georgia.
So I'm just saying.
But I think
I'm not comparing rankings. I'm saying their losses. Look at their losses. BYU, if they lost to Iowa State compared to Georgia, that's a huge difference.
But it just does not make sense to me how you can sit there and go, every other conference, you're going to get your winner and your loser. Boom. That's it. Like, that's pretty much what we're saying. But we're going to put a 5th SEC team in there.
Okay.
And not Big 12, you don't get your loser.
Can I mediate real quick? Here is one thing that you said, Spencer, early on in the podcast, like way when we started this, is you said good losses are good, but they still are losses.
I'm just saying, like, BYU doesn't even have good wins, like crazy great wins.
They beat SMU. I know it's not
okay.
bad.
We're making crazy. We're doing a lot of stretching to argue for BYU.
But then you do that for the ACC. That means ACC shouldn't, because they don't have any really good wins.
I mean, we did talk about
I already said Miami shouldn't make it, but they are going to make it just by the fact that they're undefeated and going to have 1 loss.
BYU's undefeated and they're going to have 1 loss.
But that's the Iowa State, not Clemson.
Lost.
I just think
that's true.
Y'all, the Big 12 is really buns, and the SEC is really good. I also think the argument that, the SEC will have 4 teams, that's impossible compared to the Big 12 only having 1. Everybody in the preseason, like,
I don't think that's. I think 5 teams from the SEC. I think that's ridiculous. Like, that should not happen. 4 teams, I'm cool.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I think most people's preseason. I don't think it's crazy to say that there will be 4 teams from the Big 10, 4 teams from the SEC, and only 1 from everybody else. Like, that is not a crazy thing to say. And then, like, 2 from the ACC. Like, that's not unfair. So I don't think that's an unfair thing to do to other conferences.
Yeah, I agree. So let me throw a hypothetical your way. Say you have 4 teams from the SEC, and let's say it was Georgia, A&M, Texas, and Tennessee. Let's say those were the top 4 SEC teams, right? And then you have Bama, who's probably on the verge of 13-14 like they are right now. Would you put in a 2-loss Bama for a 5th SEC team, or would you add in a 1-loss BYU to make it a 2nd Big 12 team?
Let's see what their schedule's like.
So, like, say the hypothetical is the committee's deciding, do we put in 5 SEC teams, or do we put in a 1-loss BYU with a better record and we kind of even up the numbers a little bit to make everybody happy.
Does Bama
in the
make this
conferences.
SEC championship in this world? Like, do all these teams lose somehow? And
I think it's going to come down to A&M, Texas. I think Georgia. What's Georgia's remaining schedule?
They might not even beat Florida.
Yeah, what's the score of that game right now?
No,
20.
never mind.
Yeah, they're
They will
winning.
beat-
How did they just run away?
beat
I'm
Florida.
literally just looking at
Georgia does that.
Georgia's got a
So they got Ole Miss,
tough
Tennessee, and Georgia Tech. Really, they just have Ole Miss and Tennessee.
schedule. Yeah.
Georgia's at Ole Miss. I think Georgia spanks Ole Miss. And then, are they at Tennessee?
Georgia.
Is
Ole
Georgia
Miss
at
went
Tennessee?
crazy today.
Which is true.
Or-
They
Ole Miss
put up a
was crazy.
63 burger.
So, but then that also goes into the fact too is like, is a Georgia loss? Is a Georgia loss as impressive as it was 2 years ago? They almost lost to
Yeah.
Kentucky at home. They lost to Bama, and granted, that was a great game. They beat Texas on the road, which is impressive, but I just don't think Georgia is where they were 2 years ago. So it's like a Georgia loss 2 years ago when they were on their dynasty streak. It's like, yeah, everybody's getting stomped by Georgia. But Georgia looks beatable. If you have a competent, obviously you have to be really good to beat Georgia, but they don't look like the Georgia they did 2 years ago.
I just think there's
I'm not arguing for any side here. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, I'm just trying to put logic in here of, if you're the committee and you already have 4 SEC teams and you have a 2-loss SEC team and a 1-loss BYU or a 1-loss Iowa State, no, they would have to have 2 losses. So say you have a 1-loss BYU, it's like, I don't see how the committee would put in a 2-loss SEC team over a 1-loss BYU who lost in their conference championship. And mostly, I would argue, if you put BYU and Bama head to head, Alabama would probably win. But I would argue that
spank them.
I don't think they would spank him. I think they would win. I don't think they would spank him. But I would argue that the reason for that decision to put in BYU over Bama would be more so driven by politics of like, people would spaz out if they had 5 SEC teams and BYU's over here like, we had a perfect season. We lost in our big game, and now you're taking us out of the playoff completely. Like, I can see how they would crash out. And they would want to avoid another Florida State situation like last year when Florida State lost their mind.
I think
calling
that's
themselves
very
national
different. I mean, being undefeated and not making it is very different. But I think personally,
well, that was the bad part of the 14 playoff. That should have just never happened.
I think personally that the committee would be more biased to choose another SEC team. I'm looking at it the other way. The committee in the past has been extremely SEC biased. SEC biased. I don't see that changing now that we have a 12-team playoff and they're like, oh, I feel bad for BYU, like they were almost there. Like, no, they're going to choose SEC teams. That is just
Interesting.
That's how it's always been, and I think that's how it always will be. And I think that's the right thing to do. Because in my opinion, another thing is the College Football Playoff Committee is not there to reward teams for having good seasons. The instructions, and this is why they didn't choose FSU this last year. The instructions that the College Football Playoff Committee operate under are choose the best 12 teams, or it used to be like the best teams that you think will play against each other. Not like the teams with the best seasons.
Yeah.
Not the teams that have the best resumes. The best teams. And in my opinion, if you go in and look at Texas versus BYU, at 10-2 Texas,
I agree.
I think, and you say who's the better team, I think you'll come up with the answer for Texas.
Do you think if OU was in the Big 12 and that was our exact situation, we were 11-0 going into the Big 12 championship, we lose, and then we were ranked 6th in the country.
This is a good one. I like this one.
Say we were ranked 6th in the country,
We lost,
which is probably where BYU will be at. We lost the Big 12 chip to Iowa State, and we get taken out. And Texas, who was in the SEC, who had 2 losses, who didn't even play in their conference championship, got in over us.
I like this. That's a good one.
What would your thoughts be on that?
The difference is the committee loves, they have biases. They love the SEC, but they also love big programs. I don't know. It would really depend on like how talented our team was. Because again, they choose based off of.
I mean, if you're 11-1,
and the Big 12.
I mean, well, hear me out.
In this conference right here.
With Baker, we didn't have a single undefeated season. And in fact, 2 of those seasons we lost to Iowa State. One of them we lost to Ohio State. Or we lost to Ohio State and Houston, went to the Sugar Bowl. The other 2 we lost to Iowa State. we lost to Iowa State and then Texas one year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, what I'm saying is like, to be undefeated, you have to be crazy good. Because if you, like, I mean, you look at 2017 OU. They lost to Iowa State at home. And I would argue 2017 OU was one of the greatest OU teams that we've ever had, excluding the defense, because they were horrible. And so it's like, I think with BYU, it's like, is BYU amazing? I don't know. But to be undefeated, and I don't care what conference you're in, that's really impressive. Because people have slip-ups. Like, people have slip-ups every year. I mean, look at, who am I talking about? Look at Bama. They lost to Vanderbilt. That's a slip-up. It's really hard. It doesn't matter how good you are. It's really hard to go undefeated in college football.
I agree, but that is not how the playoff committee chooses who gets in. Like, the committee...
It's not. I'm just trying to make a case that,
I agree. Here's my thing is, like...
BYU has to be good if they're undefeated.
Do I think the most fair thing is let the Big 12 championship loser get in? Yeah, that's the most fair thing, but that's not what happens. The College Football Playoff Committee is very SEC biased. It's very brand name biased. That's why we got in a lot of times with those losses, is because we had a brand name.
And we got lucky. I mean, with Jalen Hurts, we were ranked 6th. Going into championship weekend, we won, and 2 other schools ahead of us lost, and we just snuck in. Yeah. Like, we honestly got so lucky that we were even in the... We shouldn't have been there. We shouldn't have been in the playoffs that year.
Brand name, SEC bias, and also there's the factor of who would win on a neutral playing field. Like, Texas or BYU. I think 9 times out of 10 anybody is saying Texas. So it's like...
I don't know why. Like, for me, I can't sit here and... Like, you can't... I personally will not be able to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, easily 9 out of 10 times Texas is going to beat BYU. I have not sat down and watched a BYU game full throttle, full tilt. But if you go 12-0, you go into your Big 12 championship and you lose to Iowa State, and you got 2 11-1 teams, you can't be awful. You can't be buns and go 11-1. Like, that just
I'm
won't
not saying
happen.
they're buns.
And I'm saying, like, if you let an Alabama team sneak in, I personally, and I think we've all said it, Alabama is not. I don't think that's just a whooping. I really don't think if Bama plays BYU, the loser of the Big 12, I don't think it's just a whooping. I really don't, because I don't think Alabama's the Alabama of old that
Alabama's
we're talking about.
defense isn't
and they're
that
not
good.
There's no, like, you can't tell me that, oh, man, we're going to put in this 5th team. The 5th team in the SEC cannot be so great that they lost 2 games and they could just go whoop whoever loses the Big 12.
Yeah.
I don't think you can sit here and tell me that. And if you do, I think you're lying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get if you put the 5th team SEC bias. I understand that because it's true. There's a lot of SEC bias. Mm-hmm. But if you want to go out there and see the best comp, I just don't think the 5th best team in the SEC is that much better than the top 2 11-1 teams in the Big 12.
Yeah. 2014.
Here's a year 2014. Baylor and TCU. I think, was it Baylor that was undefeated going into this game, to the conference championship game against TCU? TCU won the conference championship. Both of them didn't make it.
Yeah.
Which is the exact scenario we're talking about. Obviously, completely different. Yeah. But
14.
If you look at completely different scenario. But if you look at brand names, like I mean, I don't know. I just think
What's interesting is there's only one SEC.
Yeah,
there's only one SEC.
Like 12-1 Iowa in the Big 10.
But
and they didn't make it because of a brand name right there.
Yeah. And we also
didn't win their championship.
We only had one loss that year. That was the Texas, and we beat them in the
Big 12
championship with Bake. Well, actually, no, we didn't. We beat. Who did we beat in 2015 for the Big 12? Because we lost to Texas. I want to say there wasn't even a Big 12 championship game.
Was that before?
It was TCU. It was no. Was it the TCU game? It was, because Baker was playing, and that decided the Big 12, right. And we beat them at home. We were talking about that today. Interesting.
Here's my thing, is if I was BYU and that exact scenario happened, I would not be like, I would be stressing, because you would have to pray for other things to go right, in my opinion. Because the last thing you want to do as a Big 12 or ACC team is give them a reason to not believe.
Oh, yeah.
That is the last thing you want to do, because if you...
Yeah.
If you're... If you are not in the Big Ten or not, if you're not in the
Yeah.
Big Ten or not in the SEC and you don't win your chip, then the odds are very stacked against you, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
I think, now I'm thinking about this, I think the case with BYU is that I would argue last year when Florida State got knocked out, this sounds crazy. I think it was a very easy decision.
Yeah.
Because they lost their Heisman quarterback and they looked horrible after that. I think in BYU's case, in this hypothetical that we're talking about, they go 11-1.
It'd be a lot harder, I think. Yeah.
I think it'd be a lot harder to knock out BYU because, let's say they all stay healthy, right?
Yeah.
Now, if BYU loses their quarterback, who's balling out, what's his name? Retzlaff. If they lose him, easy, just like Florida State, easy. But if they don't lose him and they're healthy, it's a lot harder decision to kick them out than it was maybe Florida State last year, who, in my opinion, was a very easy decision to kick out Florida State because they lost their guy. And they looked horrible after that.
Here's my thing. We can debate this all day.
Yeah.
But what it really comes down to is, for BYU, is what happens in the rest of the nation. If A&M loses to Texas, so it'd be Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, and then LSU beats Bama, I think these 4 teams make it. And then the Big Ten, let's say these 4 teams are like all really good at the end of the season. They probably make it. In that scenario, BYU probably doesn't squeeze in. But in a scenario where Indiana starts falling off or Penn State starts falling off, then BYU makes it. Yeah. So I think it just comes down to like other team success.
Aren't the first college football playoffs rankings this week?
It's their Tuesday.
I think since
we'll find out a lot.
I was saying, I think since we're talking so much about the playoff, we should do we should come up with our own playoff bracket. Who we think's going to be in our next podcast. I'm just spitballing here. I think that'd be fun. We've talked about this hypothetical situation for probably like the last 25 minutes now. I think it'd be really cool if we all brought in our own like playoff brackets, especially in honor of playoff bracket week. Anyways, what were you saying, Kylan? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just like, my thing, I just think that we reward like non-success. I keep like too much. Like we reward, like I would never, I feel like rewarding for not making it to your championship game is crazy.
Well,
like, I know that it will happen.
That will happen every year.
But it's just like that in my mind. That does not make sense to me. How you be like, oh man, you're pretty good. You didn't make it to your conference championship game, but hey, come on in, come on in. Because I feel like,
and it also has never happened either.
What?
Like rewarding teams who haven't made their
conference. Because there hasn't been that. Like haven't been.
Because you look at like it. The last year, Texas won their conference and Bama won their conference. That's why they got in. It's unfortunate for Georgia. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm just saying, like, you are right in the case that the committee does reward success over failure, and they've proved that. And granted, that was a 4-team playoff. That's why this year's going to be really interesting. Because then they have to decide. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm not going to keep it.
No, I get like what you're saying because they're going to have to decide whether I'm going to reward you because you were good enough to make it to your conference championship, or I'm going to reward you because, like if it's Texas, you only lost to Texas A&M and Georgia, and they're good, but in my mind, losing is losing. I don't care who it is. You could have lost to the Buffalo Bills. And I'd have been like, well, you lost. Yeah. Sorry. And I just can't. I don't know. Spencer, I agree. Like, I think what you're saying is probably going to happen. But to me, I just don't think that's, and I know not talking fair, but like, that is not common sense for me to reward 2 teams, to give 2 to 3 teams that didn't even make it, that weren't good enough. Honestly, they weren't good enough to make it to their conference championships, a path into the college playoffs rather than a team that, like you said, BYU goes 12-0 and then they lose that made it to their conference and they just get snubbed. I think you're right though. That probably will happen, but I just think if I'm on the committee, I'm voting I'm not voting that way.
You know what's awesome is that in 4 weeks
they're gonna have to figure it out.
We'll know, and that's what's really interesting about this year's playoff is that there's a lot of teams that really could get in. Yeah. You're looking at, like, right now, probably 15, 16 teams that all have reasons of their own to be in. And so you're going to see this year the committee decide between, do we reward success or do we reward good failure, quote unquote, which is going to be really, really interesting.
The thing is,
that's what's cool about this playoff this year.
We're saying this. BYU could lose to Utah on the road and Arizona State on the road, and this may not even be a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, same question comes up with Indiana. Like one loss.
One loss Indiana.
One loss, because right now they're 13.
If they lose to Ohio State on the road and they're 11-1, and that's why I think it's so hard for BYU. It's like, who's making it 11-1 Indiana or BYU? It's like they're going to choose Indiana every time because they're in the Big Ten. I think now that we're in the 12,
maybe
I think so. I mean, the Big Ten.
The thing is, Indiana has never been good. It's not a household
name. Like, I feel like them and BYU are pretty much on that same.
Here's my thing. Here's what my prediction is for the next this 12-team playoff era. Is I think the playoff will always be lots of Big Ten teams and lots of big SEC teams. Yeah. I just think that's how it's going to be.
Oh yeah.
No matter how fair it is or not.
Yeah.
I just think that's how it is.
Yeah, that's common sense. Yeah, Indiana has Ohio State and Michigan, and then Purdue. So I mean, if Indiana wins out,
they're going over BYU. Even if they lose to Ohio State in the road, I think.
Well, it depends. Is Indiana in Big Ten East or Big Ten West? Because there's a chance where
I don't think there is Big Ten East or West anymore.
Are they not doing it anymore?
Yeah, they just combined it.
Oh, because there could be a situation where you have 4 11-1 Big Ten teams competing for.
The runner-up is conference schedule, strength of schedule.
Okay.
Conference strength of schedule. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, because you're looking at you could have a theoretical 11-1 Indiana, 11-1 Penn State, 11-1 Ohio State,
and 11-1.
And you can even see Oregon losing magically. I don't think they will. But
first off, the tiebreaker's head-to-head, so it'd be Ohio State. Yeah. Ohio State would beat Penn State and Indiana.
Yeah.
So and then Oregon would beat Ohio State in the head-to-head. So it'd probably be Oregon and Ohio State.
Yeah. Crazy. What's next on the list of things to talk about?
That was it.
This bad boy.
That's
Wrap it up. Yeah. So yeah, overall, Maine game slightly disappointing on defense, but glad we got a win. We're one step closer to a bowl game. If we beat Mizzou next week, we're in, which is awesome. We're in a bowl game. If we don't, our season's cooked. The college football landscape is getting more and more interesting week by week. I think that as we get closer and kind of just like I said, there's about 16 teams right now that you could argue deserve to be in. And so it's going to be really interesting when the committee decides, do we pick a 10-2 SEC team or an 11-1 Big 12, ACC, etc. team? That's going to be really interesting. And it's going to be exciting. And then obviously next pod.
Put an HBCU team in there, man.
Grambling.
Jackson State.
Yeah. But we'll have our playoff predictor for the next pod. We'll bring that up. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll have the college football playoff rankings come out, I believe, on Tuesday. I could be wrong. Maybe Sunday.
Tuesday.
But normally they do
PM.
Tuesday. They normally do Tuesdays. So Tuesday at 6 p.m. So we'll have that for you on Wednesday. And yeah, this is going to be a really exciting next 4 weeks. I don't necessarily believe for OU.
No.
But if we make a bowl, it'll be fun. But I think it's going to be really exciting to watch around the world, around the other schools, see how things shake up and what happens the next 4 weeks. It's going to be really exciting. There's a lot of big, marquee matchups, particularly in the next 3 weeks. I mean, you have LSU, Alabama, you have Tennessee. Who else? Tennessee LSU or Tennessee A&M? I don't know what we're talking about. Anyways,
what are we talking about?
Just wrap it up, bro.
I'm gonna wrap it up. I just crashed out in my mind. But it's gonna be really cool. Really cool week of college football next few weeks. So hopefully we'll make a bowl. You guys have anything else to say?
If we do make a bowl, it's probably the Vegas Bowl versus Colorado, which I think would be so fun.
That'd be fun. I'd be there.
So fun.
I just wish Shadur and Travis would be playing because they're not going to be playing, bro.
The thing is,
that's going to make me so sad.
I'm perfectly fine with Dion being there. Like that. Yeah. That satisfies me, man.
That's facts.
That'd be so
cool to see Dion. Yeah.
Shout out Dion. I hope you remember me when we whooped.
You should. You know what'd be funny is if you wore your jersey to that game.
He would know.
He would
remember.
Know.
When bro didn't shake our hands. Yeah, I remember that.
You could do that'd be funny if you made a sign. That'd be funny.
They told me bust down my AP. Perfect time.
Perfect time. Thanks, guys.